hate to come behind him. Well, unlike Jamaica, they didn't give me a time limit. They forgot, so. But I'm still going to try to keep it short and sweet. Over the last week, I've really been thinking and trying to figure out how can I pay tribute to my granddaddy Melvin. That's what we call him, Granddaddy Melvin. How can I truly pay tribute to him while expressing how much he meant to me, how much he meant to you, how much he meant to our family. And I have to be honest, I have a confession. Over the last several months, I've really been trying to remember my granddaddy when he was at his best. And it's been really, really hard for me because when that devil called Alzheimer's came, it changed a lot of things, but it never changed his spirit. He's always been a happy person. He's always been funny. And so I could remember the big things. I remembered that he was funny. I remembered that he was loving, but I couldn't remember specific things. And so I started going through some pictures, and it didn't bring back any memories. And I went to the mall, and I went to the men's section, and I started smelling all that cologne Jamaica was talking about. I started smelling that eternity because, they say that the smell brings back memories, and I didn't remember anything. And I went to Aramis. I still couldn't remember. So I went home, and I was kind of down, and I began to pray, and I said, Lord, bring back those good memories of my grandfather to me, please. Still didn't remember. So I sat down, and I started watching some home videos, and the camera panned to Granddaddy. And when I heard his voice, all of those memories just started flooding back into my spirit. And I started to remember how when I was a young girl, how he would try to pay me money to cut one of my ponytails because he said he needed hair. I started to remember all those long talks of going in his office, knocking on the door like Jamaica said, and waiting on him to say come in and going in. And although he had a very quiet spirit and he talked low, he was not a man of few words. And so you would go in that office and you would be in there for hours, but they were good hours that you spent with Granddaddy. And then when he wasn't there, that was his castle, his office. When he wasn't in there, I remember sneaking in on the occasions that he left it unlocked accidentally, or picking the locks and going in and eating some of his snacks and getting his soft drinks because that's where all the good stuff was. And then I started thinking back to how I used to call him from Fort Wayne just to talk when I was in college, when I was at home, and how he would call up there, and I would say, Mom, I want to talk to Granddaddy, but she'll be talking to Granddaddy, and they'll talk for hours. So then by the time I get on the phone, he just like, all right, love you, baby. Then I started thinking back, and I just had so many memories. I remember picking him up and walking on the Wall Street Bridge, and he used to wear me out on that bridge. He was almost 80 years old, and he could go back and forth. He would run and race, and I'd be like, Granddaddy, I'm ready to go. But I miss those talks, and I always appreciate those talks. And one particular thing that stands out to me, I remember the last anniversary that we had in Fort Wayne, Indiana, when a dad's anniversary, and he did the sermon, and afterwards we went to the house, and Daddy decided he was going to barbecue. So everybody came to the house when we were barbecuing, and everybody know Granddaddy loves steak, but he liked his steak medium well. Well, Daddy got happy on the grill and burnt the steak. And I remember sitting at the dining room table, and he was sitting by me, and he just kept eating around the steak. And I said, Granddaddy, you gonna eat that steak? And he looked at the steak, he looked at me, he looked back at the steak, and he said, if this is what the Lord meant by well done, I need to rethink this thing. And that always sticks with me. And although, he was a jokester, we know that that's one thing that he never rethought. He walked in the way of Christ. He talked in the way of Christ, and he loved Christ. And before I close, I'm going to close in a second, but a couple weeks ago, I was riding down the street, and I was going down the street, and I saw this little old man and my Aunt Gail walking, and I pulled up, and I said, what are y'all doing? She said, we just going for a walk. And towards the end, where Granddaddy, he wasn't at his best, I would go in, I say, hey, Granddaddy, he'll give me a hug, give me a kiss, and that's it. He might say something, and he'll be on his way. So this particular time, I pulled up, and I said, hey, Granddaddy, and he came to the window, he gave me a kiss, he gave me a hug, and he grabbed my hand. And so I just sat there, and I talked to him, and I said, well, all right, Granddaddy, I love you, I got to go. And he held my hand. And I was trying to get it out of his hand. I said, Granddaddy, I got to go, I love you, you have a good day. And he wouldn't let go. And so Gil said, come on, Daddy, she got to go somewhere, let's go. And he wouldn't let go. So finally, I got out the car, and I gave him a big hug, and he still was holding my hand. And I said, all right, Granddaddy, I love you, got to go. And he wouldn't let go. And when I look back on it, I really believe that he was telling me that even if I'm absent in body, I will always be alive in your memories. I will always be with you, and I will never let you go. And I really appreciate the time that I had with him. We were all there for his transition, and we're able to spend that time with him, and we are so truly blessed. And even when he was at his lowest, he never stopped praising. He may not have remembered your name, but he remembered the name of Jesus. You would hear him at the table, and he'll just be saying, Jesus. He may not have remembered much, but he would still sing those hymns and just sit there and hum. Even if you couldn't make out his words, you would hear the hums and singing hymns. And I remember going in the house, and he had the Bible open. And we know he probably didn't realize what was on those pages, but he didn't close that Bible. He would sit in front of it, and he would stare at it for hours. And he would take his little finger like he was reading. He may have been reading, I don't know. But he stayed in that word, and I'm just so grateful. So in closing, I just want to read a poem really quick that I wrote for Granddaddy. And it's called When Tomorrow Starts Without You. When tomorrow starts without you, of course we will be sad, because we've lost our grandpa, our friend, and our dad. Even though our hearts are heavy and also filled with pain, we cherish the time we had with you, and great memories still remain. When tomorrow starts without you and your smile we will no longer see, the love you shared with all of us in our hearts will forever be. All the sermons you have given us and the lessons that you have taught are priceless gifts to treasure, something that cannot be bought. When tomorrow starts without you and your jokes and songs we can no longer hear, when the days turn into months and the months turn into years, we will still remember the impact that you made on so many lives, and to replicate your kindness, we will forever strive. When tomorrow starts without you and your hug we can no longer feel, we will still smile from knowing that you have now been healed. Although your physical body will be absent and your spirit has been set free, we are all at peace and filled with joy because your soul is now with thee. We love you always and forever, Granddaddy.